Hawley Crippen, the sole surviving child of Andra Skinner and Myron Augustus Crippen, a merchant, was born in Coldwater, Michigan. He began his medical education at the University of Michigan's Homeopathic Medical School before earning his degree from the Cleveland Homeopathic Medical College in 1884. In 1892, tragedy struck when Crippen's first wife, Charlotte Jane, passed away from a stroke. Following her death, Crippen entrusted the care of his son, Hawley Otto, to his parents, who resided in California. After becoming a qualified homeopath, Crippen established his medical practice in New York City. In 1894, he married Cora Turner, a music hall singer who performed under the stage name Belle Elmore. During this time, Crippen also began working for Dr. Munyon's, a homeopathic pharmaceutical company. In 1897, Crippen and his wife relocated to England, although his American medical qualifications were insufficient for him to practice medicine in the United Kingdom. Despite this, he continued working as a distributor of patent medicines, while Cora socialized with various figures in the entertainment world, including Little Hawthorne and her husband/manager John Nash. In 1899, Crippen was dismissed from his position at Munyon's due to his extensive involvement in managing his wife's stage career. Subsequently, he became the manager of Drout's Institution for the Deaf, where he hired Ethel Leneve as a young typist in 1900. By 1905, Crippen and Leneve were engaged in an illicit affair. After residing at different residences in London, the Crippens settled in 1905 at 39 Hilldrop Crescent, Camden Road, Holloway. To supplement their modest income, they took in lodgers. During this time, Cora had an affair with one of their lodgers, and in response, Crippen entered into a romantic relationship with Leneve in 1908. Following a gathering at the Crippens' residence on January 31, 1910, Cora mysteriously vanished. Hawley's initial assertion was that she had returned to the United States, but he later modified his account, claiming that she had passed away and been cremated in California. Meanwhile, Ethel Leneve moved into Hilldrop Crescent and openly adopted Cora's clothing and jewelry. The first inkling of Cora's disappearance reached the police through her friend, the strong woman, Kate Vulcano Williams. However, the situation escalated when Nash and Hawthorne, personal acquaintances of Scotland Yard Superintendent Frank Frost, urged the authorities to investigate further. A search of Crippen's residence yielded no evidence initially, but the case took a different turn during Chief Inspector Walter Dewey's questioning of Crippen. Under pressure, Crippen confessed to fabricating the story of his wife's demise, citing personal embarrassment as his motivation, alleging that Cora had left him for the United States with one of her lovers, a music hall actor named Bruce Miller. Dew accepted Crippen's explanation. However, Crippen and Leneve remained unaware of this development, and gripped by panic, they fled to Brussels, where they spent the night in a hotel. The following day, they journeyed to Antwerp aboard the Canadian Pacific liner SS Montrose, destined for Canada. The couple's sudden disappearance prompted intensified searches of the Crippen residence. During the fourth and final search, investigators discovered the remains of a human torso buried beneath the basement's brick floor. William Wilcock, later known as Sir William Wilcock, a senior scientific analyst with the Home Office, detected traces of the sedative scopolamine in the torso. These remains were identified as belonging to Cora through a piece of skin from the abdomen, although the head, limbs, and skeleton were never recovered. Her remains were subsequently laid to rest at St. Pancras and Islington Cemetery in East Finchley. Meanwhile, aboard the Montrose, Crippen and Leneve were en route across the Atlantic, with Leneve disguised as a young boy. Captain Henry George Kendall recognized the fugitives, and, just before the ship moved beyond the range of its onboard transmitter, signaled telegraphist Lawrence Ernest Hughes to send a wireless telegram to British authorities. I harbor strong suspicion that Crippen, the murderer from London cellar, and his accomplice are among the passengers in the saloon. Crippen has shaved his mustache and is growing a beard, while the accomplice is dressed as a boy. Her demeanor and physique unmistakably indicate that she is a girl. Had Crippen traveled in third class, it's likely he would have eluded Kendall's attention. Chief Inspector Dew, determined to catch up with Crippen, embarked on a faster White Star liner, the SS Laurentic, departing from Liverpool and arriving in Quebec ahead of Crippen. He promptly reached out to Canadian authorities. As the Montrose entered the St. Lawrence River, Dew made his move, disguising himself as a pilot. Canada was still part of the British Empire at that time. If Crippen, an American citizen, had chosen to sail to the United States instead, extradition proceedings would have been necessary to bring him to trial, even if he had been recognized. Kendall invited Crippen to meet the incoming pilots, and it was then that Dew removed his pilot's cap, revealing himself with the words, "Good morning, Dr. Crippen. Do you recognize me? I'm Chief Inspector Dew from Scotland Yard." After a momentary pause, Crippen responded, "Thank God it's over. The suspense has been too great. I couldn't stand it any longer." He then extended his wrists for the handcuffs. Crippen and Leneve were apprehended on board the Montrose on July 31, 1910. Crippen was subsequently transported back to the UK aboard the SS Megantic. Crippen faced trial at the Old Bailey, presided over by Lord Chief Justice Lord Alverstone on October 18, 1910. The trial proceedings extended over 4 days. The initial witnesses for the prosecution were pathologists, including Bernard Spilsbury. They testified that they couldn't definitively identify the remains found in the basement or determine the gender. However, Bernard Spilsbury did discover a piece of skin with what he asserted to be an abdominal scar consistent with Cora's medical history. Notably, large amounts of the toxic substance scopolamine were discovered in the remains, and it was revealed that Crippen had purchased this drug from a local chemist prior to the murder. Crippen's defense, led by Alfred Tobin, contended that Cora had fled to America with another man named Bruce Miller. They also argued that Cora and Hawley had only been residing in the house since 1905, suggesting that a previous homeowner might have been responsible for placing the remains. The defense challenged the abdominal scar identified by pathologist Spilsbury, suggesting it was merely folded tissue. One point of contention was the presence of hair follicles on the scar, something typically not found on scar tissue. Spilsbury, in response, noted that sebaceous glands were present at the ends but not in the middle of the scar. Additional evidence presented by the prosecution included a fragment of a man's pajama top, supposedly from a set given to Crippen by Cora a year earlier. While the pajama bottoms were discovered in Crippen's bedroom, the top was missing. The fragment included the manufacturer's label, Jones Brothers, curlers, and bleached hair consisting with Cora's were found with the remains. A representative from Jones Brothers testified that the product was not sold before 1908, placing its manufacturer well within the time frame of Crippen's occupancy of the house and Cora's gift to Hawley in 1909. Throughout the trial and at his sentencing, Crippen displayed no remorse for his wife, but rather concern for his lover's reputation. The jury deliberated for just 27 minutes before finding Crippen guilty of murder. Leneve, on the other hand, was charged solely as an accessory after the fact and was acquitted. Crippen met his fate on the morning of Wednesday, November 23, 1910, at 9 a.m., when he was executed by hanging, administered by John Ellis within the confines of Pentonville Prison in London. In the aftermath of Crippen's conviction, Leneve chose a different path. She embarked on a journey to the United States before eventually settling in Canada, where she secured employment as a typist. It was not until 1915 that she returned to Britain, and she lived until 1967. In a poignant gesture upon Crippen's request, a photograph of Leneve was placed inside his coffin and interred with him. Though Crippen's final resting place within the grounds of Pentonville remains unmarked by a memorial stone, it is customary to believe that shortly after his burial, a rose bush was planted above it. In recent times, some of his relatives in Michigan have initiated efforts to repatriate his remains to the United States.